How are you feeling today? There is a very strange, very quiet feeling, but if you've ever experienced it, you'll understand it instantly. It's the moment you look at other families and wonder, why is it so easy for them to be close while I can't? People talk about sibling bonds. They tell stories about parental love, about warm homes where everyone finds their place. They believe that sharing the same blood naturally creates a sense of belonging. But you listen, you smile, and you nod. Yet inside, there is an emptiness you can't name. It's not hatred. It's not resentment. It's just the absence of that magnetic pull that everyone is supposed to feel. What confuses you most isn't the distance. It's the thought. Is it just me? The truth is no. There are far more people like you than you think. There are hearts that always feel out of rhythm in their own families, even though they never wanted it that way. Psychology has a term for this experience. Affamilial, when the natural sense of family attachment doesn't appear the way people expect it to. It doesn't make you worse. It doesn't make you cold. It is simply the way your emotional system operates. And sometimes, it is also the way your heart learned to protect itself. If the words above touched you, stay for a little longer, because when you understand where this feeling comes from, you'll see clearly that you have never been the problem. You've only been living an experience no one ever taught you how to name. When someone doesn't feel close to their family, society is quick to label them cold, uncaring, stubborn, not appreciating what they have. But the truth is far more subtle. You're not distant because you lack affection. You're not quiet because you lack love. And you're certainly not silent because you look down on the people who brought you into this world. What's happening inside you is not defiance, but the absence of an emotional response society assumes everyone should automatically have. It's like how some people hear a song and feel moved instantly, while you need more time to feel it. Not because you can't feel, but because your emotional rhythm operates differently. That's why many affamilial individuals grow up with a quiet sense that's hard to articulate. It's not that I don't love them. It's just that I don't feel that bond naturally, as if this connection was never plugged in. And when you don't react the way people expect, they quickly assume you're indifferent. But what they don't see is the entire emotional system inside you trying to adapt, trying to understand itself, trying to find the right place to stand. This difference isn't a sign of deficiency. It's a form of sensitivity, where your heart only opens in places that feel truly safe and aligned with who you are. When you understand this, you'll realize something relieving. You were never wrong. You just don't fit the mold people have been taught to expect for generations. And this difference is actually the key that leads you deeper into the real question. Why do you feel this way? There are things you never say out loud, yet they unfold silently in the smallest moments of your life. Things so subtle that even you aren't sure whether they're real issues, but they are distinctive signs of being affamilial. For example, every time there is a family gathering, you feel like stepping into a role. You smile, you ask questions, you talk about everything, but deep down, you don't feel at home. You're simply doing what society taught you to do. Or, when you're away from home, you don't miss anyone. Not because you're indifferent, but because distance brings an odd sense of relief, as if the space expands and you can breathe deeper. Then there are the simplest moments. Some people say they feel warm just hearing their mother's voice, but you feel normal, not upset, not touched, nothing special, just a familiar voice, that's all. Or you notice you open up more easily to friends, coworkers, people you choose, than to people who share your blood. And sometimes you ask yourself, why can I bond with strangers faster than with those at home? But it doesn't stop there. Sometimes you even feel obligated to maintain the relationship, not genuinely wanting to, like you're holding on to a rope that, if you let go, you wouldn't feel sad, but you'd fear judgment from others. These signs aren't loud nor dramatic. They're subtle, quiet, stretching across the years to the point you wonder whether anyone else feels like you do. But the most important thing is, none of these behaviors imply that you are heartless. They only show that your heart is searching for a different kind of connection, a different kind of home that you were never given. And once you understand this, a door begins to open. There is a very clear reason you feel this way, a reason rooted in the earliest experiences of your life. Some people grow up in families that aren't particularly bad, and yet their hearts never find emotional grounding there. This doesn't happen overnight, nor does it come from a single obvious wound. It comes from very small, subtle things, repeating over many years, quietly shaping how you connect with your own family. Maybe as a child, you had an emotional language different from the rest of your family. You were more sensitive, more delicate, or simply needed deeper understanding. But every time you opened your heart, what you received instead were practicality, toughness, or lines like, "There's nothing to be sad about. It's a small thing. Just get over it. No one meant to hurt you. It's just that their way of loving didn't touch the place your heart needed." Eventually, you understood. Here, your emotions had nowhere to anchor, so you stepped back, not out of dislike, but because you stopped expecting to be understood. As you grew older, you realized that in your family, emotions were rarely named. People talked about work, food, money, tasks, but rarely about feelings. No one asked, "Are you sad?" No one said, "I understand you." No one shared, "I've been through that too." In a home without emotional language, a child doesn't become strong. They learn to turn their emotions off. And when emotions stay off for too long, distance becomes a habit. Connection becomes unnatural. By adulthood, you and your family may be walking on completely different paths. Your choices, lifestyles, boundaries, beliefs no longer align. Every time you're close, you feel the need to shrink yourself to avoid conflict. You have to soften, quiet down, and bend yourself to fit the shape they expect. And so your heart chooses distance, not because it has run out of love, but because of getting too close would require sacrificing who you are. All of this, the emotional misalignment, the silence, the differences in values, isn't loud, isn't violent, but it's enough to create an expanding emptiness inside you. An emptiness you later describe as, "Why can't I feel connected to my family?" But the most important part is this: none of these reasons imply that you lack love. They only show that you adapted. You protected yourself in an emotional environment that didn't fit you. And when you understand this, you begin to see clearly that distance was never your fault. It was simply the natural result of years in which your heart couldn't find a place to land. There is something many people don't know. In psychology, affamilial is not a disorder, not a diagnosis, and it's not listed in any catalog of mental conditions. This matters because society tends to label anything different as a problem, but science doesn't. Science sees a more nuanced truth. Not everyone is programmed to feel strong family attachment. Modern psychology views this as a form of emotional configuration. Just like how each person has a different voice, a different level of sensitivity, each heart has its own way of responding to attachment. When researchers study people who don't feel close to their families, they find that it often relates to early attachment styles, how the brain registers pleasure in relationships, and how the nervous system reacts when emotions don't feel safe. Interestingly, in many cases, this distance isn't caused by a lack of love, but because your nervous system has been used to emotional self-reliance from a very young age, a survival mechanism formed without you realizing it. As you grow older, that mechanism keeps working. Your heart opens only to relationships where it feels truly safe, and it instinctively closes around places that once left it disappointed or out of sync, even if no one ever says it out loud. And here is the most important part. There is no research that says people who feel less bonded to their families are less loving. None. In fact, some studies show they are often very deep, very sensitive, and very skilled at building chosen relationships with friends, with partners, with those they trust. It turns out the issue isn't that you can't bond. It's that your heart chooses to bond intentionally. It doesn't automatically love just because of shared blood. It only opens when there is safety, alignment, and understanding. Science confirms this. And when people hear it, many finally exhale. So, I'm not broken. I'm just different. And this very difference leads to a fascinating psychological mechanism. One that clearly explains why you can love deeply, yet instinctively keep your distance. There is something many people never realize. The heart doesn't only know how to love, it also knows how to protect itself. And sometimes, that protection mechanism is so subtle that you think you don't feel anything, when in reality, you once felt far too much. Psychology calls this defensive detachment, an emotionally protective form of distancing. It is not coldness. It is not numbness. It is the result of hundreds of small moments when you reached out but weren't met in the way you needed. Each time that happened, your brain recorded a lesson. This place is not safe. Don't open your heart here again. And so, your heart started learning to close. Slowly, very slowly, until distance became a new normal. Maybe you don't remember all the times you pulled back, the times your emotions were dismissed, the moments you wanted to say something, but felt a heaviness in your chest and chose silence instead. But your brain remembers, your body remembers, and they adjust you in ways you don't even notice. What's important is this. When you avoid attachment with your family, it doesn't mean you avoid attachment with everyone. In fact, many familial individuals are very skilled at forming deep connections with people they choose because they know exactly what emotional disappointment feels like. They are sensitive to hurt, and they value relationships that offer real safety, which means your heart isn't closed to the world. It is only closed to the places where it once felt out of place. This is a very intelligent mechanism, yet society often misinterprets it. Outsiders only see you're not close to your family, but they don't see the internal process that unfolded across so many years. And when you understand this defense mechanism, you realize a comforting truth. You didn't turn off your emotions. You simply moved them to safer places. And because of this, some of the biggest misunderstandings about affamilial people begin to appear. Stories others assume are true, but that has caused many people to carry a lifetime of guilt. If there is something that hurts affamilial people the most, it isn't the distance from their family, but the words others have carelessly placed upon them. Words that seem normal, yet cut into your heart year after year. You may have heard things like, "You're too insensitive. Family can't live so distant like that. You're grown now. Stop being so cold. Blood relatives, and you can't even love them?" These statements aren't just misunderstandings. They are invisible chains, forcing you to believe something is wrong with you that what you feel is incorrect, that you must try to be closer in order to prove you're normal. But when you look deeper into psychology, none of those beliefs are true. Most affamilial individuals don't lack love. On the contrary, they feel very deeply, but their hearts only open in places that truly feel safe. You don't lack the ability to love. You simply don't love according to the template society is used to. Not everyone understands this, so outsiders easily look in and conclude, you're distant, when in reality, you're simply living according to your own emotional rhythm. Some people even think you're ungrateful, just because you cannot express attachment in the way they expect. But gratitude isn't measured by how many times you hug your relatives, or how emotional you become when hearing a family member's voice. Gratitude is the way you live kindly, the fact that you don't speak ill of your family, the fact that you still care in the ways you can. Not everyone expresses love through intense emotion. Some express it through sharing, some through sacrifice, some through presence, and some through distance. Distance is not indifference. Sometimes it is the way you prevent a relationship from being hurt further. And then there is the threat many have heard. One day you'll regret this. But the truth is, regret doesn't come from lacking attachment. Regret only arises when you live against your true self. If you force yourself to be close when your heart doesn't want to be, that is what will haunt you later. And when all these misconceptions fall away, a gentle space opens inside you. You begin to see clearly. It's not that you avoid your family, you simply choose a form of connection that fits your emotional rhythm. And from here, a bigger question begins to surface. If distance is not indifference, then what does love look like for an affamilial person? There is something very few people understand. Love does not always come with closeness. Not everyone who loves deeply needs hugging, sharing, or clinging. And not everyone who chooses distance is someone who doesn't know how to love. For affamilial individuals, love can exist very quietly. A kind of affection that doesn't need to be spoken, doesn't need to be shown through the proper actions society expects, yet remains love in its purest form. You may care for your family in your own way, quietly supporting, quietly worrying, quietly watching over them, without feeling the need to show up often or be emotionally attached. And the beautiful thing is this: you are still capable of loving deeply, even if that attachment isn't directed toward your family, but toward the relationships you choose for yourself. The friend who makes you feel safe, the partner who allows you to be yourself, the mentor, the colleague, the companion who makes your heart open in the most natural way. For you, connection doesn't come from blood. It comes from alignment, from understanding, and from the feeling of being fully seen. You are not unfeeling, as people assume. In fact, you love very selectively. You don't scatter your heart unconditionally. You give it only to the places where it can be met with safety and respect. This doesn't make you hard to love. It makes you someone who loves very deeply, but only when you meet the right person. When this becomes clear, many affamilial people finally feel relieved because they realize they are not lacking love. They are simply loving on a different rhythm, a more mature rhythm, more cautious, and sometimes more beautiful. But then there is still something that haunts many of them. The guilt society unintentionally plants inside you, making you believe your distance is a wrongdoing. And that guilt, if misunderstood, can become a chain that holds you back for your entire life. Among all the emotions affamilial individuals face, perhaps the heaviest of all is guilt. Not guilt for doing something wrong, but guilt for not feeling what society says you are supposed to feel. You grew up hearing, family is everything, You must love your parents. Blood relatives must stay close. Distance is unfilial. And you stayed silent because you knew your heart doesn't operate according to those teachings. You don't hate. You don't resent. You're not rebelling. You simply don't have the emotional, magnetic pull people call natural. But that alone is enough for guilt to form, quietly, persistently, like a small voice inside. What if something really is wrong with me? What if I'm ungrateful? What if I regret this one day? The sad thing is, this guilt doesn't come from your heart. It comes from expectations programmed through generations, from a society that believes family must follow a single template, from a world unaccustomed to forms of attachment that are different. But when you look at the psychological reality, you'll see a gentle truth. Guilt is not a moral compass. It is merely the reaction of a sensitive heart being forced to fit a mold that was never meant for it. The truth is, you can be kind without being intimate. You can care without being close. You can love your family, yet still choose to stand at a distance that protects your inner peace. That is not selfishness. That is honesty. You were not born to play the dutiful child according to someone else's definition. You were born to live in alignment with your emotional nature. And here is the moment of liberation. If your feelings don't come naturally, forcing yourself to feel will only hurt you more. Healing does not always mean returning, embracing, or forcing closeness. Sometimes, healing is recognizing that you have the right to choose the distance that feels right without shame, because freedom is also a form of love. And sometimes, it is the most mature form of love. When you understand this, the weight on your chest, carried for years, begins to lift. You realize you are not at fault for not feeling something your heart was never programmed to feel. From here, a new question naturally emerges. Not a question of duty, but a question of choice. For someone like you, where do love and true attachment actually belong? There comes a moment in life, after enough disappointments, enough attempts to fit in, and enough times asking, "Am I wrong?" when a very quiet truth slowly reveals itself. That family is not always where you belong, and there is no rule saying you must belong there. Some people find home within their family of origin, but others have to travel very far to find that feeling. In a friend who understands you without performance, in a partner who sees you beyond every layer of protection, in a group of people who make your existence feel meaningful, or simply in a space where you can breathe fully. For affamilial individuals, family doesn't lie in blood. It lies in emotional compatibility. In the place where your heart opens naturally, not reluctantly, where you don't have to shrink yourself to be accepted, where you can walk in without needing to prepare yourself first. And the most wonderful part is, you have the right to choose that place. No one can decide for you whom you should feel close to. No one has the right to say your love is right or wrong just because it doesn't match the standard script. Many people grow up believing family is unchangeable, but the truth is much softer. Family is a flexible concept shaped by experience, by safety levels, by what your heart has gone through. You are not betraying your family by creating distance. You are simply being honest with yourself. And sometimes, that very honesty is what helps the relationship between you and them become healthier. Between the family you were given and the family you choose, neither is superior. What matters most is, where do you feel peace? Where do you feel you don't need a mask? Where can you place your heart down without fear of being hurt? Maybe that place is your birth family. Maybe it's one close friend. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's yourself. the strong and honest version of you that you've been trying to become all these years. And upon reaching this point of the story, many people suddenly realize something very deep within themselves, that they were never broken, never wrong, never unfilial, as they had feared for so many years. They were simply walking away from old templates, slowly and gently, to find a place more suited to their emotional rhythm, a place where the heart can breathe lightly without tensing up every time they try to be close in the way others expect. And when this truth becomes clear, a very quiet form of freedom opens within. The freedom to choose where you belong, the freedom to love in the way your heart knows how, the freedom to stop forcing yourself to feel things that never came naturally. Freedom is not loud, not rebellious. It is simply the moment you acknowledge that home is not always where you were born, but where you can lay your heart down without fear of being hurt. And if this part touches you, try asking yourself one small but very honest question. Where does your family truly reside? In blood? Or in the places where your heart feels at peace? And that's the content of this episode. If you feel a sense of resonance with these reflections, don't forget to follow the channel and stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. See you soon. Bye.